Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for attending Crowdynews' Social Media Curation Best Practices webinar. The webinar today will run about 30 minutes and we'll cover tips and tricks for finding and presenting best social content on your website. And it'll include time for questions and answers at the end. And before we get started, let me just review a couple of housekeeping items. We are recording a webinar today and it will be available on the Crowdynews website, as well as provided via a link in email following the session. So make sure that's available for you and for your peers and colleagues if they're interested in watching it. If you do have questions today, we'll take them at the end and you can enter them into the chat window in the GoToWebinar control panel. And assuming we have time, we will address as many questions as possible at the end of the presentation. So I'd like to introduce myself and my co-presenter today. My name is Allison Barr. I am the VP of Marketing and Product here at Crowdynews. I'm joined by Alberto Gonzalez, Director of Customer Success. Thank you, Alberto, for joining us today.
You're welcome, Allison. Hello.
All right, so before I turn the session over to Alberto, I just want to quickly review what we covered in the previous webinar session, which is called Social Media Curation in 5 steps. So during that session, we went through the 5 steps to effectively getting running and implemented with social media curation. And I'll just quickly recap those here. So first and foremost, we talked about the importance of understanding your readers, knowing their social media habits, and matching social media behavior with your editorial content. And from that understanding, creating relevant social streams and social topics. And in the process of building that relevant content, we talked about the various ways to find that content, and we'll go through a bunch more of those today. We did an overview of the importance of defining the reader experience in terms of how to customize the look and feel of the social stream and the different types of widgets or experiences that were possible with social media curation. Step number 4, we reviewed the importance of where you put that social stream on your site and how that impacts reader engagement, whether it's above the fold or below the fold, where you put links to full screen, full immersive experiences, and how the social media overlay helps the readers on the site versus popping off to the social media networks themselves. And lastly, we overviewed how important it is to continue to review and refine your social media streams over time. While content curation certainly helps you set it and forget it, it is always good practice to make sure that you're reviewing the content streams for reader engagement and also looking to add and remove content that may or may not be relevant over time. So for today's session then, what we'll cover, or Alberto will cover, is kind of 4 key areas in addition to just a general overview of the social media curation best practices. So Alberto will talk about channel strategy, about which social networks and how to use them. He'll cover how to use social media curation in breaking news scenarios. He'll do a good deep dive on geofencing and geolocation of content and how that helps create really great, relevant social content. And then lastly, he'll cover how to continually enhance that content going forward. So if you have questions, please go ahead and enter them into the question box in the GoToWebinar panel when you're ready to do so. And we'll address them at the end of the webinar. And without further ado, I will turn the presentation over to Alberto.
Well, thank you very much, Allison, and hello everyone. Very good to have you here. Hope you find this session pretty interesting, and I think you will. And we will share, as Allison advanced, some tips and tricks for curating content and maximizing reader engagement. This information that I will share here with you is based on thousands of hours both creating content and advising Crowdynews customers across the world. We have key topics here, 4 key elements: relevant, safe, meaningful, and engaging. So when building content, the first thing we need to think about, we need to build relevant content for our audiences. There are a couple of things that we need to take into account. One is that the content needs to be appropriate for the site that you are hosting. There needs to be a bit of appealing content as well. So there's a growing trend of pictures and videos, and mostly visual content is growing a lot, either for readers, for news websites, even for marketing activities. So that's very important to have some visual content in there, and also try to look for alternative voices on the subject. Look for experts in every topic you are posting information about, and very important. This information needs to be relevant, needs to be fresh as well. So it is very important that you keep this really up to date and not having very old information there. The second point is the information needs to be very safe. Obviously, in the social media channels, in the social media world, there's a lot of information and good information, but also a lot of really bad or less value, less quality information. So with using blacklists and whitelists, you can actually make all the content safe for your readers and your visitors. You can look for meaningful content, so content that that the audience care about, that the readers are looking for, and they maybe don't find this kind of content on traditional websites, but mostly on social media because it's really booming, and you can find much or more diverse content than in a traditional news website. As an example, you can use search terms, hashtags, user accounts, etc., to build this content. We will go through this more in detail. And it's also important to try to avoid redundancy. As you see here in this picture, this is content built or created using two different ways. The first one is user-based, adding Donald Trump Twitter's account as the main source. You see this, it is the content that we are probably looking for, whereas the content we have next to it, it is, the quality is less maybe important for the news website, because we use this or build this content by using keywords, which opens the world to much more information, but also it can lowers the quality as well. The content needs to be engaging, so you can select different kind of topics when you build your social media stream, but the first one, the main one, it needs to be the one who is more trendy and more kind of breaking news as well. So people, you can get people's attention, and they stick to your website, stick to your content, and also look for more articles on the social media stream as well. As a second point, you need to find the channels you want to use. So there are a lot of different social media networks. We here have a couple of, I think the most important ones when trying to build content. Obviously, there is Pinterest and Vimeo and other different sources. But I think here we have the four most important worldwide that you can use. Each social network is unique in the way that they display the content and in the way that you actually can look for it. So with Twitter, you can add like users, influencers, people, or trusted sources of content. So in case of Donald Trump or the U.S. election, obviously that's one example. Hillary Clinton, Obama. You know that from these sources you will have a good quality content always, because it is kind of pre-created before going into social media to the public. You can use a couple of tricks here and a couple of websites, external websites, to build your or to identify those users, relevant users for each topic. One is called follower wonk. I repeat, follower wonk. And in this website, you can search a Twitter bio and sort by number of followers, which is pretty interesting. There's another resource that we commonly use that is called Peer Reach. Peer Reach allows you to find the top 100 list of most authoritative Twitter users by topic, by subject. Basically, politics, economics, sports, whatever you want to find, you can use this website, Peer Reach, to find the top 100 people, most popular people in the world. When it comes to Facebook, so Facebook is a bit different, and I think here it's more about the likes, and it's about when you find a user, you can try to identify which kind of pages these users like the most, and you try to look for references when you are in the specific one. There is an external source that also we use very frequently, which is Facebook wiki pages. Facebook wiki pages, and this contains a list of Facebook accounts via places and related sections. There is another one that is very, very interesting. It's called Social Bakers. Repeat, Social Bakers. And you can find here a list of the most popular Facebook accounts, also organized by subject. So if you look for celebrities, sports, entertainment, politics, anything you want to cover, then you will have the most popular accounts here. The third one is YouTube, and with the growing interest in video worldwide, as I mentioned before, this is becoming one of the main sources for engaging with audiences. With video, in less time, you can deliver much more information. That's the principle behind that. And here, we recommend to use channels versus phrases. So channels on YouTube, you can filter by them in YouTube. So you only want to see the channels, and also you can check the About section for an account. This is situated on the right rail for referred channels as well. So you can always link to other interesting channels. Instagram, to conclude with the different channels, or the most important ones that we use, it is great to display content, visual content, especially from specific locations when covering events, when there is breaking news or things like that. Again, a bit further in the presentation, I will show you a couple of examples. There is a website that we use. It's called WebStat, so WebSTA. And here you can use it for checking results for Instagram tags, so you can get more information sources there. You can also use Google search. That works very well. And as an example, you can search for best celebrity chefs on Instagram, and then you will have a list of the most relevant ones, and pretty much it will be pretty accurate as well. Accurate. So in this image here, you have a social stream that contains content, as you see, is from Facebook, Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. So it's different content for different sources, different formats of displaying this content, but that's what engages the people. So if it's visually too consistent and too flat, it creates less engagement and less interest. So when we count and we see and the clicks that people do on this kind of posts, always the most visual ones and the variety of the different social media networks is the ones, or are the ones, who have the biggest success. So one example of covering or best practices of covering news with social media, obviously, is breaking news, right? There are several ways that you can cover this kind of events or news, tracking events, on-site reporting, or news feed. So tracking events, you can, if there is a major snowstorm, for example, next year in the US, it probably will be, you can just whitelist authoritative voices from the local weather person or the governor of the state, or when something happens, or the mayor of the city when this is happening, and you will have a really nice feed in there, especially if you use Instagram for this kind of events, so like weather related or even sports related. You can use visual content with Instagram, and it is much more appealing, as I mentioned before. For on-site reporting, in cases of terrorist attacks, unfortunately, or shootings, or this is kind of happening quite often, and especially in the U.S. Lately with all this. Last weekend, what happened in New York and New Jersey. So it is also a great way of covering with social media, because you don't need to have a journalist on that spot at that very moment, but everyone with a phone or a smartphone, in this case, could be your journalist. So you can tell the story right from there by using social media and in just real time. So again, whitelisting important like institutions, President of the United States, the governors of states, as I mentioned before, anything related to really official institutions would be a great addition to your content. Also, if there are eyewitness accounts, or you can put the location tracker, the geolocation tracker. So when this, you can even point at the street where the bomb was exploded, and you can use a radius of X number of meters that you can set up, and you will get only, as an example, content from Instagram, Twitter that is coming from that geolocation specifically. So that's very powerful, and again, it is a great engagement you can get out of using this way. Newsfeed, the last point. Again, you can just use it for a more permanent. It's not like, or doesn't need to be like so real time, that you can have a politics stream on your website that is covering the news and the elections, which is an event, but it's an event that lasts much more time. So it will be always on a daily basis news from the most influencers, or the biggest influencers in the country, or the most well-known accounts as well. So you can, for this matter, it's great to, instead of using one social network, just to combine it with tweets, Facebook, YouTube, and even you can add blog posts as well as a credible sources. As an advice, we don't advise to use like hashtags or keywords on this kind of newsfeed permanent social stream, because this opens to more content, but there is more chances to have duplicates when of posts, because they are coming. It is the same news, let's say, but they are coming from the same the different networks, let's say. In this picture, as you can see, we are covering the last news of what happened with Colin Kaepernick. The whole story, you can cover it with social media. Here you can even do it as a section page, so not only limited to a social stream, but also have it a bit wider and with more content, and use it as a main full page in your website. And when you click, or the users click on each of the items, they will have the whole story. They can see it much bigger, and they can interact with it. So we call it fully immersive because it really is like getting into social media, but on your website and not leaving Facebook or Twitter. We talk about geolocation a bit. So it is great to use it for also breaking news, attacks, things like that, but also for events that will happen. When it comes to, this is an example that we are showing on screen, it is a sports event, right? So we have different stadiums that are Angeles, in other locations, and we will gather the information. And in this example, it's mostly Instagram, because that's very powerful when covering events with geolocation. So if there's a football match, if there's a Super Bowl, even if you are not there, but you can get the pictures of people are making from the stadium, in the stadium, and you can show that content as well. And then you can have, or you can enhance your content. You can use several practices to enhance it. The first one is using filters. So you can whitelist, blacklist, but also even in the social networks, social media networks, like such as YouTube, you can just select the dates of the content, so you don't have all content but just a recent one. You can search terms as well. So, and this is, we advise, if you look for Hillary Clinton as an example, well, it is better to use it all together as opposed to Hillary and Clinton as an example, which will give you results from Bill Clinton in this case, or something that doesn't have anything to do with Hillary. So it is better to put both words together to get the best results. You can use, with scoring, you can increase the score for tweets with pictures or YouTube videos created within the last 1 and 2 days. And it is also important that you promote in your own social media channels. So comment on articles in social media channels as the post will appear in the stream next to the article. As you see here, we have a cloud of words that represents the attacks that were happened last week in New York and the US. So with the most commented and the words that were more used in terms of importance. So this is similar to what we do in our, or what you can do with social media. Here on the screen, you see the article that was written on Saturday, and then on the right rail you have the social media extreme that was actually the day after, on Monday, showing results and news about the arrests that were made in this case already. So this is an example of how to keep content fresh via social media as well. So with this, we have I have shared some tips and tricks about building the content. It needs to be relevant, safe, meaningful. It needs to be really impacting your audience and engaging your audience, and that's it needs to complete what you already have on your site. So you can do it with social media. And I hope you found a couple of tips there that were are useful to you. And here we open to questions and answers. So Alison, I don't know if in the chat we have some questions already.
We do. Thank you so much, Alberto, for leading us through that. So we have about 5 minutes for questions. We've got a few that we can kick off with here. And if you have any other ones as we're going through the Q&A, please enter them into the question area of GoToWebinar. All right, so Alberto, the first question is there a difference in engagement when the social stream is placed on the home page versus another page on the interior of the site? What have you seen there?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So there is a difference, and I think it really depends on kind of content that you are displaying there. But the home page, it tends to be with the profile of the visitor. So the home page, you normally have loyal and frequent visitors or readers that they are coming on a regular basis to your site. So here what we see is that having your social stream on the home page really increases the time they spend on your site because they really interact with those posts by opening them and not leaving to the social media channels, but just staying with this overlay window that I showed in one of the examples. So that's a pretty good engagement, and obviously the homepage is kind of the core of many websites right now. And if we compare this to article pages, where in many cases visitors to article pages are coming from social media, so they are on their phones, on Facebook, or Twitter, and they see an interesting article that's on your website, and they go to your website, but they are also the most likely to leave or they stay less time in your website. So we see also the value of having the social media stream. They are coming from social media, so they actually see other information that is related to the article that they found already interesting. So they kind of keep surfing, keep looking at the post that you contain there. So it is a bit different, and it's kind of different kind of engagement. Both ways you can engage your audience, but it really depends on the profile of the visitor.
Okay, great, thank you. I think we have about time for one more question before we move on to the final wrap-up items. And so, Alberto, I think this is a great one to share with everyone. Can you give us an example of a customer that has used a social stream to report on breaking news?
Yeah, sure. So, I think BBGI, Business Broadcast Group, they in the US, they are a workstation, a group of workstations. So they have like 50 workstations, radio stations in the US, and they're very local. So they're a small company. And when these shootings of San Bernardino in December last year happened, well, they didn't really have the resources to be there and cover that event, right, with their news. So they actually contacted us to help them, and we built a really interesting content which was using the geolocation as I described before. And immediately, in a couple of minutes, all this content right from there was coming to their website, which, well, they after that, they said that they were able to cover the breaking news even 20, 30 minutes before any other national media channel, even CNN or one super important one, which is a great achievement for such a small organization.
Great, thank you for sharing that with us. So let's do a quick sneak peek about what is coming for the next webinar, the third one in our series. So in that next one coming up, we'll review the results that our customers have realized by incorporating social media streams on their digital sites. And looking at reader behavior, we will cover how to improve engagement and loyalty on your website. So specifically, to give a little more color, we've analyzed reader behavior on our customer websites, and we'll dive into information such as answering the questions, do readers prefer or click on videos and images, or are they more motivated and interested in links and embedded text? We'll explore whether the frequency, or explore in general the frequency with which readers retweet and share on Facebook from the social stream. We'll discuss how readers access the website, desktop, laptop, mobile, and how that plays with the social stream. And plus, we'll dive into a lot more interesting statistics gleaned from hundreds of customers worldwide, all with the goal of helping you understand how your readers interact with the social media stream so that you can continue to improve their experience and engagement with your content. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Alberto. We appreciate you joining us for this half hour today. If you're interested in a copy of the slides, you can email us at hello@crowdynews.com. As mentioned before, the webinar recording will be available on the website and via email here shortly. And the next webinar, the results webinar we were just talking about, will take place on Thursday, October 6th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We look forward to having you join us for that. Thank you again, and we'll talk with you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.